Since the last time we talked, Vegas has won 4 games in a row, scored 8 points for the playoffs, and also climbed their way back into the playoffs after sitting one spot out last time. So, I wanted to reconvene with you. Last time, Vegas was 1 point just under the Dallas Stars. Now they're just above Dallas Stars by 1 point. They were also having 15 games left in the season, but like I told you, they have won those 4 games all in a row, including one that we talked about previously, was 6-1 win against the Predators. Vegas is now on a 5-game win streak, which is something we haven't seen in a long time from this team. But it honestly looks like they have found their groove and found a way to keep on pushing through everything that's been going on. So I want to talk to you about the remainder of the season. What kind of needs to transpire for Vegas to stay in the playoffs, and also how they can move up into a top 3 seed in their part of the division, and just overall what Vegas has been doing right that's gotten to this place, whether that's goalie, offense, or defense. We're going to be talking about all 3 of those things. So let's go ahead and get into this. My name is John. Welcome to the Sports Advocate. Thank you for tuning in. And you know what? Let's get into it. If you're going to like or do whatever you want to do, you're going to do it whether I say it or not. So let's get into it. Like I said last time we talked, Vegas had a 1-game win streak, 6-1 over the Preds. They're 1 game out. Currently, they have 82 points. We're going to pull my phone out right here. 82 points, one above Dallas, who is 81. They're the final spot in the wild card, but they are tied with the Predators, who also have 82. Vegas plays tomorrow night against the... Why am I even questioning it? It's the Canucks. Yep, Canucks. Plays tomorrow night against the Canucks, and we're going to cover some of the games that are tonight that are important for Vegas. First up, we got Minnesota Wild versus Nashville Predators. If the Predators win, then Vegas would no longer be tied with them for the wild card. So you're looking for a wild win there, which is not super crazy. We also have the Dallas Stars versus New York Islanders. If Dallas were to win, they would take Vegas' spot in the playoffs, and Vegas would obviously be able to take it back with a win on Wednesday. But you'd hope the Islanders can get a win there. And the Edmonton Oilers against the San Jose Sharks. The Edmonton Oilers are currently in the 3 seed in the division, which is what Vegas is hoping to push into. Edmonton has 85 points. The Kings have 86, and they did just lose last night to the Flames. So you're hoping that Vegas can find a way to move into the actual division spots 1 through 3, take either the Flames, Kings, or Oilers spot with 91, 86, and 85 respectively. Vegas, obviously, with 82 would have to win 2 and at least 2 and have the Oilers or the Kings lose 2 in a row. So it is possible. It's not incredibly impossible, especially with the Kings, who are number 2 in the Pacific Division, aren't actually that phenomenal. They're only there. The only reason why they are there, they have less wins than Vegas, but it's because they're overtime losses. They have 10 where Vegas has 4, I think. Vegas has 4, Kings have 10, and if you take off 6 points, then the Kings would have 80, and Vegas would be at the 3 spot. So, there you go. So now let's go ahead and in the last video, we talked about my wins and losses for the remainder of the season. We're going to do that real quick. We're not going to go anywhere near as depth as I did last time. We're just going to make it very quick. I did have the Vegas Golden Knights losing to the Canucks last time they played. This most recent game, thankfully they didn't, but I just had expected at the Vancouver that they'd end up losing, but they didn't. Vegas on a 5-game win streak. I have a win over the Canucks, a win over the Coyotes, a win over the Canucks, and then I do have a win over the Flames, which I previously had a loss over, but the Flames are in a 6-game losing streak up until last night when they beat the Kings. So they're honestly not doing that great. And then I have a loss to the Oilers because the Oilers are on a 7-game win streak. Hopefully the Oilers fall off a little bit because then Vegas can move to the 3, but that would put, if Vegas won all the games that I predicted, that would put us we're at 5 right now, 6 for Canucks, 7 Coyotes, 8 Canucks, and then 9 for the Flames. 9-game win streak, which is big. Ooh, nice word crack. And as we talked about last time, Vegas needed 21 points to hit about 95, which is what I predict they would need to make the playoffs. They've obviously made 8 so far, so they're already in very good position. They only need 13 more points. They're 8-3, In my predictions for the remainder of the games. Oh, and I have to finish this. Loss against Oilers, win against Devils, win or loss against Capitals because I don't really know. They're in a 3-game losing streak. Sharks win, Stars loss, Blackhawks win, Blues loss. That puts them at 8-3 through the last 11 games. That gives you 16 points in 11 games and puts you at a total of 98 points, which is obviously over 95 points. So that's very good. And 98 points, if you don't realize, is third. Obviously, they don't have 98 points now. But just for comparison, there is teams right now that have 102 points who have already locked in a playoff spot. Right now. Have 102 points now and have locked in a playoff spot. So with 98, then you're pretty easily going to lock in a spot if you end up with that many points. So that's very good news for Vegas if they can end up winning all the games that I've predicted. So now we're going to talk about how have they done this? How have they got on this 5-game win streak? Because it was a very tough stretch there for a while, as we talked about in my last video on this subject, which was a week ago. I'll probably have that tagged up here somewhere. I don't know which side it's on, but I'll have the little eye thing pop up so you can go check out the last video if you didn't, because we talked about a lot of the same remarks up until this point in the video, but now we're going to talk about different things because these last 3 parts right here are going to be based on the last 4 games. So first things first, the goalie. Obviously, we had talked about Logan Thompson a lot last video. Currently, up until last game, he had 10 starts in a row and was playing very good and was a huge contributor for that winning record. Okay, so let's talk about Logan Thompson real quick. Logan Thompson, through the last 3 games, because we're not going to talk about what I talked about last video. Last 3 games, he has a 78 saves on 84 shots with a .929 save percentage. Again, that's one of the best in the league if that was throughout a whole season, and we talked about that same thing last year. Lehner, who made his return, finally, in the regular season, just played against the Canucks last night, had 26 saves on 28 shots. Those 2 goals were pretty scary because obviously we ended up going into overtime, but that is a .928 save percentage, which again is one of the best in the league. So we have 2 goalies. If Lehner can keep this up and Logan Thompson keep it up at the very similar or the same percentage that they're at right now, that's a very, very, very good goalie duo for the playoffs. A .929 and a .928 for each goalie. That's extremely good. That gives you a lot of confidence. So now that we've talked about the goalie, we got to talk about the other side of the ice. It doesn't matter how many saves your goalie makes if you can't score. But Vegas has been able to score recently with 15 goals in the last 4 games. That's a .375 goal per game average, which is amazing. There was a stat, I think we talked about it last video, and I know I've talked about it in previous videos, that Vegas was like the highest scoring goals per game in this entire league up until the All-Star break. And anytime they had more than 3 goals or something, they had lost only 10 or 5 or 10 games or something like that. And then after the All-Star break, they struggled. I think they had 5 games total since the All-Star break where they scored 3 or more. And now they have scored 3 or more in all 5 games previously. Very good news. So, offense. Like I said, 15 goals in 4. And we're going to talk about 2 very important people in this. And I didn't bring them up in my writing, but I will bring them up. Dodonov, before his trade and since he's returned from his trade, has been playing phenomenal. He's been a key contributor to this offense, but I didn't bring him up because he has not been as huge of a part of these past 4 games as he was the week prior. So Jack Eichel, obviously a lot of emotions in the Jack Eichel business that's been going on. Some people think it was the worst trade. Some people really like the trade. But Jack Eichel has 3 goals in the last 4 games. And that's very good. That's almost a goal a game. And you normally, from your top players on your team, you look for a point a game. So a goal a game is just great. And I didn't even mention that Jack Eichel has had multiple points in these 4 games, not just goals. But I want to point out the goals specifically. And then next up, a major reason why we have got these wins. and it's a little bit of a weird statistic, so I will explain it. Shea Theodore has 3 game-winning goals. Shea Theodore has a 3 game-winning goal streak. Okay, and it's a little confusing because we won most of those games by more than 1 goal. Obviously, the Canucks we didn't. Shea had the game-winning goal in overtime. But how a game-winning goal works in hockey is whoever scores the last goal to put you above. So if you're tied 2-2, whoever scores the goal that makes you 3-2 has a game-winning goal, even if you end up scoring 2 more after, which is exactly what happened in the Seattle Kraken game. There was a win 5-2, but Shea Theodore had the game-winning goal because he had the goal to make it 3-2. Okay, so Shea Theodore has 3 game-winning goals in a row, which that's a crazy statistic. I mean, that's a clutch gene if I've ever heard it. That's how you close out games. That's what you love to see from. I mean, Shea Theodore has always been a huge contributor with this team, but I feel like this year he has not been like the number one guy to go to consistently this year, and I'm glad that right before the playoffs start, he's found a way to do that, and I hope that he finds a way to keep doing it. I hope Jack Eichel keeps doing this and consistently averages 3 goals over 4 games, and I hope when Mark Stone comes back, he's doing well, and Pacioretty has 2 goals in the last 4 games, I want to say, and we had a lot of people come back from injury, so this team is looking good. Once these injuries come back, this team's looking very good, and I think that's kind of why there was that big slump, was because of injuries, and we all knew that there was injuries, we all knew that was part of it, but I don't think we realized how big a part of the injuries were, so it's a great sight to see, and it's great news that once these people are slowly coming back from injuries, like Brett Howden and all these guys are coming back from injuries, that this team's starting to do well again, and it's just... It's really good news, and let's talk about the last, well, maybe not the last, I guess you could say coaching is a big thing, but let's talk about the third pillar of why this team's been doing so good. I'm not going to talk about coaching. I do like our coach. I know a lot of people are talking about fire him, get a new front office coaching staff and all that. I think that's horrendous. That's outrageous if you ask me. But the third pillar is defense, okay? And the reason why these last 4 games have been so good and why it's the save percentage has been so well and all that stuff is because our goalies aren't facing as many shots, and when they are facing the shots, they're simple saves, which is a very, very helpful thing. Is when you have simple saves, you're going to have confidence. For those tough saves, you're going to be able to get them because you're confident and you know you can get it. They've been clogging the zone. The defense has been clogging the zone from the neutral zone all the way to the defensive blue line. Everywhere it's clogged. Passing lanes are clogged. Shooting lanes are clogged. It's tough. There's been 112 shots against Vegas in the past 4 games, which is an average of 28 per game. And if you don't know, Vegas is averaging 34. Yeah, Vegas averaging 34, I have right here, 34 this season. So obviously you're already 6 better shots per game average through these 4 games than you have throughout the whole season. And the league average is 32, so you're 4 better than that. And obviously, no matter how great your save percentage is. Okay, let's think about this real quick. Even if you only let in 1 shot per, what's a good number? 1 shot per 15. Okay, which has you like a 9.3 save percentage. If you only face 20 shots, you only have 1 goal against. Now, if you face 40 shots and you have 2 goals against, and obviously, since it's per 15 and there's 10 extra, maybe there's 3 goals against right there, or maybe there's an unlucky one randomly or a power play. So the less shots you're facing, the less likely that they have multiple more goals because there's less shots. I think that's pretty simple, and most hockey fans will understand that. It's pretty basic. The more basketball terms, the more shots you shoot towards the goal, the more probably going to go in. The more Hail Marys you throw, the more yards you're going to probably end up having because you're going to end up with one of them, right? I think everyone understands it. I probably didn't even need to come up with those examples, But I just want everyone on the same track. So with Vegas allowing less shots at 28, below 30, sub 30, you're going to have less goals against you, which is great. And some games there's going to be 40 shots. Some games you'll almost have 50 shots against you. Some games you'll have 20, Well, maybe not 20, but you get what I'm saying. So consistently having lower shots against you is going to be a huge contributor to your goalies playing well and your team playing well and your team winning games. Okay, next up, I've talked about my averages. Now let's talk about block shots because that's a huge thing. If we're clogging the lane, we're going to have block shots. Braden McNabb is number 2 in the entire league, and I think if you talk about per game average, I think he would be 1 because he's missed some games, but nonetheless, he's 2 in the entire league, which is, that's huge. That's phenomenal when you have someone that's blocking shots all the time. That's just great news as a goalie, as a team, and you just hope he doesn't get hurt. And also, Alex Pietrangelo is 6th in the league. So you got 2 top 10 players at blocking shots on your team. And that's a huge contributor to why this team has been able to win these past few games. And overall throughout the season win games because the defense helps the goalie and the goalie helps the defense. And that's pretty simple, right? When your defense allows for less shots against your goalie, then your goalie is going to be able to save the shots because he's not constantly getting them, And a big thing is the fact that oftentimes, if you're not, I didn't bring this up, but I probably should have. I probably should have wrote down a stat, and maybe it's hard to track the stat. But rebounds is a big thing because how many times in a game, your favorite team or you tune into a random game on the TV or whatever, how many times in the game do you see a goalie make a very good save, a tough save, or just in general a save, and then a rebound trickles out and then it goes in? Or how many times does a goalie make 2 saves and then a rebound and in, or 3? You get what I'm saying. When your defense is able to help you when you can't cover the puck after a save, and they're able to clear it, or they're able to gather it, or they're able to block that last shot after you already saved 2, they're able to block that third shot and then get it out. That's going to be a big help for your goalie. And when your goalie's happy and your goalie's doing well because you're taking pressure off him, you're going to be happy because your goalie's going to be taking pressure off you because he's going to be able to make those saves. And when there's less goals because everyone's working together, then your offense is going to be feeling good because you don't have to score as many. And then when you do score and you're already up by 2 because your defense has been doing so well, your offense is feeling good because they're up 2, and they're like, why not make it 3? And that's what it's been lately. It's been a very, very good team game recently. Everyone is doing their job consistently, and they're doing it well. And that is why Vegas has been able to go on this 5-game win streak. And that's why I think they're going to be able to possibly go on 8, 9, and maybe even more. And let me point something out. I'm not saying Vegas is the best team in the league throughout these 4 games. I'm not. I'm really not. But it definitely added confidence as a fan that this team is capable, even though they've been struggling as of late. And that's a very good thing, and I'm sure it's adding confidence for the players too, and that's going to be a big help for them. And I think that's why they've been playing so well as a team, because they've had confidence, and I think that's why they'll be able to keep playing well as a team. Whether that's the Canucks on Wednesday or the Coyotes, I think, Friday. And one big thing that I want to point out real quick, which wasn't a thing last time we convened, and now that we're reconvening, it is important. Vegas had played almost 4 games more than most teams in the playoff race, which was kind of scary because even though Vegas was 1 point behind Dallas at that point, Dallas had played 4 less games. But now Vegas has played only like 1 more game or the same number of games as pretty much everyone in the playoffs because there's been so many gaps. There's been multiple times where there's a 2-day gap between games. This last game and now this game have been 2-day gaps. And let me check my phone real quick. Okay, we're going to be looking at strictly the Pacific and the wild card. Okay, so Vegas has played 71 games. Okay, that's good news. And we're going to talk about, I mean, there's going to be games played tonight. So Vegas has played 71. The Calgary Flames have played 69. The Kings have played 72. And the Kings only have 4 more than Vegas. Edmonton has played 70, which is only 1 less than Vegas. And they're at 85 points. Nashville Predators have played 68. So that's 3 less than Vegas. That's not good news. Dallas has also played 68 with 81 points, so that's not great news. And then Winnipeg Jets and the Canucks have both played 70, and they're the ones that are, my voice is just all over the place. They're the ones that are also in the race outside of Dallas. And I think they're pretty close to getting knocked out here soon, which would be pressure off of Vegas. So, like I said, about 95 is what you need. And if they get 95, then they're pretty much a lock. But you also need teams that aren't you to lose games, because no matter how great, it's always about you go win your game and then see what happens. That's what it needs to be. That's what it has to be, especially right now with how tight everything is. But after you win those games, you also have to have the teams that are in the race with you lose some games. If Vegas wins every single game they have here, I mean every single game they have left here, and also Dallas or the Predators won every single game that they have remaining, Vegas would be out. Now, is that likely to happen? Of course not. And it's actually not impossible at all because Vegas plays as stars. But my point being, Vegas needs to do a very good job. They don't have to win out, but they have to do pretty darn close. And they also need Dallas to drop a few extra games. So if Dallas has 3 less games and Predators have 3 less games than Vegas has played, Vegas needs to win 3 more games than them with the remainder of the season. So if Vegas goes 8-3, then we need Dallas or the Predators to lose 6 out of their remaining games, which they have 14 remaining. So if they have 14 remaining and they have to lose 6, then they can go 8-6 and Vegas needs to go 8-3. Okay, that's not incredibly difficult, but that's what needs to happen. It's not only about Vegas right now, it's about the other teams. But Vegas is doing a great job, and if they can keep that up, I see no reason why they can't make playoffs. So, thank you for tuning in. I think I did a pretty good job covering all my bases on this video, and I'll probably have a couple more videos for Vegas throughout these remaining weeks, especially since there's another almost 3 weeks of hockey remaining. So, I'm not going to even rant that long. Go ahead and check out some of my other videos. I have a big series on Vegas right now in their inaugural season, their first year, if you didn't know what inaugural meant. And also, I'm going to have another video, the 4th part of that series, on why other expansion teams aren't able to do what they did. So I'm going to have that pop up on one of these sides. I don't really understand because my camera flips after I record this. But go ahead and click on those. Click subscribe. That's going to pop up right here too. You want to click on that. Go down below. Leave me some of your opinions, some of your critiques, what I can do better. And also comment if you think Vegas is going to be able to make it into the playoffs, even with how tight this race is. Go ahead and leave a like, dislike. I mean, any form of interaction with this video is useful to me, not only for the algorithm, but I can also learn from it. So thank you. And thank you for tuning in. We're done. I'm not going to rant too long. I feel like I always rant another like 5 minutes after the video. So I hope hope that I taught you guys something. I hope I put a smile on your face or made you guys laugh. I think that's the best part of my day, is knowing that in some way I can promote someone else's day and make it better. And I hope that I do that consistently. And lastly, you guys all be safe out there.